I can't tell you how happy I am to see the university recognize him for what he's done. He's a man who's just done so much.
If you could describe him with one word, I don't know if I can. Would walking saint be one of them? He was a type of surgeon, he was a type of physician that treated everybody with dignity and respect. And I think that is one of the most powerful things and influential things that I have learned from him.
He's always been concerned about people who are less well off than he is, people who start out with disadvantages, and that's something that has really consumed him as a doctor, as a state senator, as a candidate for governor, and then I think especially as president of the Endowment for Health.
I would describe Dad as the most honest, ethical human being I've ever met in my entire life. I would also say that he's been an innovator in every single thing that he's done.
He introduced a new culture. Back then they called it Total Quality Management, TQM. It was the culture of respect one another, work as a team, empower people to work to their fullest potential, and really understand good quality of care.
He was troubled by the economics of the healthcare system, which is what led him to be one of the founders of Matthew Thornton Health Plan, which was the first HMO in New Hampshire.
When Matthew Thornton was started in 1971, Mom and Dad arrived in the Nashua area, and Dad said the fee-for-service model for healthcare is flawed. It's simply not right. There must be a better way to service patients and have physicians not compensated on a service basis. That was not a popular sentiment in the 1970s.
He never was concerned about the popularity. It's doing the right thing that I think concerns Jim Squires. You know, I put him in the Walter Peterson category. He's that kind of guy. He's a gentle guy, soft-spoken, but always on target in terms of what he wants to say and getting it across. And his work on the endowment has truly been outstanding.
We had identified a really significant need to increase access to dental care, initially for kids, but also for adults. And at the same time, the endowment was getting up and running. It was around 2001, I think, and they had decided to choose as one of their major themes access to oral health care. So, of course, we really wouldn't have been able to have done it, you know, without the endowment. They really help you instill the best practices and make it as good a program as it can be. And because of that, we have a very successful oral health program. And as you can imagine, it has a huge impact on people, many of whom haven't had dental care in 20 years.
The values that the endowment incorporated were to a large extent the values that I would associate with Jim. And they were fairness, integrity, respect, stewardship, courage, and compassion.
3 weeks ago, I was in my office in Boston, and the facilities worker came in to check the air conditioning. He was staring intently at the Squires for Governor bumper sticker, which still hangs in my office. And he finally said, "Are you related to Dr. Squires?" which happens constantly. And I smiled and said, "Absolutely, he's my dad." And he said, 34 years ago, he operated on my son, and he had a tremendous impact on his life. And it was just one example of the impact that Dad had on a child at the time who's now 34 years old and, according to this gentleman, healthy and living a great life. And those stories are so many.
His legacy has carried on, and we are still practicing the culture that he has brought to us.
He's a role model, and there are so few role models in anywhere, let alone in politics.
Anyone who knows him really, really well knows that he's sitting in the audience tonight watching this saying, there are other people who are much more deserving than me. And that's exactly how he has lived his life, in that incredible, humble way.
You know, sometimes honors don't go to the people that you think truly deserve them. But in this case, this Pettee Medal is well deserved. They've picked the right person at the right time to give an honor to, because Jim Squires deserves this. His work for the public has covered a long, long period of time, and it's about time people recognize how much Jim Squires has given back to the community.